Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your girl Mitzi, and this is Mitzi. Let's think about it. Today, we are thinking about hope in the world. Yes, that is a thinker, and that is exactly what we will be thinking about today with Doug. Thank you so much, Doug, for coming on to my show, sharing your time and your perspective with me. This is truly a pleasure. But let's go ahead and dive right in. When you hear those words, hope in the world, what does that make you think about?
Well, it would be uh, if all the pieces to the puzzle fell into place, I see a better world than what we are dealing with today. And I see lots of opportunities for those that are promoting hope in the workplace, in the world in general, is that they would get a sense of gratitude for what it is that they're doing. It's kind of like we say to people of service that are providing, thank you for your service. In this case, it would be thank you for providing hope.
Yeah, thank you for providing hope. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't realize. Like hope is such a foundation of our being, you know what I mean? Just for another day, just to keep us optimistic, just to have this understanding that today will not be the same or for tomorrow, you know what I mean? That's understanding that what I'm going through will not be forever. Like hope is so necessary that I don't think people realize that when you die, when you allow your hope to die, it really changes your whole perspective of the world, of humanity, of even animals, of you know what I mean, everything, even water, you know what I mean? Everything really changes into this negative space that it can become very, very toxic. So for you, when did you realize you needed to hold on to your hope?
Oh my gosh, that would be probably in the early 1990s is when I sort of had that epiphany where I said to myself, okay, you can continue to go ahead the way you are right now, and what are the outcomes that you hope to achieve by doing that? But if you have a mindset change to become one that is more focused on hope for not only yourself, and that's where I think we get caught up, is that we get caught up in the aspect that when it comes to hope, I'm only concerned about myself, when in fact, if you take it, and I'll use this just as an analogy, when you dive in the deep end of the pool into the Hope swimming pool, is that you're doing so with a sense of purpose and you want to be able to make that change. But if you don't, then, what then? And I think, you earlier you touched on something that sort of had me thinking, was the aspect of hope. So in the morning, I'm hopeful that I'm going to plant both feet on the floor. I'm hopeful that I'm going to wake up healthy, wealthy, and well, wealthy, we'll put that off to the side, but healthy, and that I want to be able to work with others to help them recognize that there is hope, and hope not only on a global perspective, but hope on a more individualistic perspective is, the fact that if I do all the things that I think, say, and do, then the world will in fact be a better place.
Oh, absolutely. Like I agree wholeheartedly. And I love the fact that you were talking about how back in the 90s it made it real for you and you had to just be hopeful that you can see another day, be hopeful that I have health and people don't even realize health is a form of wealth. You know what I mean? It's so of difference. Like I've worked in the health field for so many years, especially and when I worked in insurance claims, I spoke with so many wealthy individuals, like billionaires, millionaires, and that's one thing that they always told me is like stick with your health because there's no amount of money in this world that can truly get you what you need to be healthy because she was having a hard time getting a new liver and her husband was having a hard time with his kidneys and no amount of money that they threw at the healthcare system, the kidneys failed, the livers failed. It was just not keeping them alive and it was not sustaining them. So people really have to realize like finances, money can only get you so far, but your health, your actual physical health, your mental health, those that health is so important, and I wish more people can value that because that gives you hope to see another day. Like, you don't even realize how much a certain body part actually you utilize until it's down, you know what I mean? Like, until it's down, like, "Oh, man, I can't believe I used this elbow so much. I can't believe I used my arm so much in this way. Can't believe it," and it's just like, that's when you have to have that hope, and then the fact that you're like, you try to help people in that individualistic mindset to find that hope. I think that is important too because people don't realize just as an individual, sometimes we can get caught up in ourselves, but then we can lose that hope entirely for ourselves and we can just push it on to somebody else like, yeah, have hope, have hope, have hope. You could say it to all these other people, but do you really believe it for yourself, you know? And I think that's a really big thing. So it's like for you, what is one way or a couple ways that people can really start finding more hope in their life?
Well, and I want to just circle back to the aspect of when it comes to searching for me, is hope something that I have control of? So am I in a place in my life where if I'm extremely hopeful, it's going to change a whole bunch of different things for me and for others, for those that I reach out and touch. But I think, the big thing for me is to be able to, so in order to stay positive, it's positive affirmations and all those things, from the aspect of, I can do good, I can help others, and I can help others by being positive, and I can do more, in that space. I can, as an example, I'm a international certified mentor. I can spend time with people helping them, take a look at their personal and professional growth and be able to help them make the changes that they need in order to sort of turn that corner and become a more positive individual. We can spend time together and talk about what are some of the what's my sense of purpose? That's what I was looking for, was what's my sense of purpose, so that I do in fact feel that if I'm making these changes, that they are in fact positive and that they provide me the hope that I need to go forward.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's a very valid point. It's just acknowledging that what you're doing is going to provide some type of positive momentum in your life. And if it's not just your life, it's for somebody else's life, you know? Like if it's your children's life, if it's your neighbor's life, you know what I mean? Sometimes just giving somebody a smile can give them hope, you know what I mean? People don't realize that a smile can have somebody not cross that point of like, I'm looking for, because a lot of people are just looking for a reason to end it, looking for a reason to shoot something up, looking for a reason to beat someone up, looking for a reason to invade a house and rob somebody. They're looking for a reason. But it's like when you give somebody a reason to do good, then that sparks something else in them. It's like that new movie Bad Guys, that children's movie about how these all these animals, they were really bad, they were doing bad, and it wasn't until buddy was like, "You're a good boy," that it changed that whole entire momentum where they stopped doing bad and they wanted to do good. They wanted to change their life, and it's like we can bring hope into somebody's life by just acknowledging like, "You're not bad. you just had bad things happen to you. You're not bad. You just didn't have a lot of options to choose from, and you didn't even know there were options. And these were just the circumstances that were what you chose that was the best out of your options. You know what I mean? That's not bad. But now it's like, if you know better, do better. You know what I mean? And we're giving people that opportunity to change that perspective, change their narrative so that they can move in a manner that brings them justice, you know what I mean, brings them hope, brings them this grace that whatever that they've been through, it doesn't matter because it's what they do today that truly matters. And I think a lot of people don't have that. So do you think accountability helps with hope?
Yes, it does definitely comes with the package, so to speak. And the thing to think about is ask yourself the question, what would happen if I were to have done A, B, or C? Would the outcome have been different? And if so, why? And if I see that there's the possibility, and really what that truly is that's a mentoring technique, is to frame things in the context of a question. Well, maybe providing them the answer, you're also critically thinking, getting them to think critically so that they will, start to look at things from a more positive perspective. And they'll start to look at, there is hope that, if I would have answered one of these questions differently, that would have changed the path or the direction that I would take my life in. And if so doing, impacted other people, that's a bonus.
Yeah, most definitely, because people don't realize that that everyone has a silent fan. You know what I mean? And when I say that, I mean like somebody's out there praying for you, encouraging you, like happy for you, the, joyful knowing that you're still alive and existing, joyful knowing that you are doing something that's different, joyful knowing that you are just trying to live on another day, but they will never say it. You know what I mean? They won't never share those words with you. But there are so many people out there that won't leave comments, won't subscribe, won't actually be all up in the social media's frame and still send good vibes, you know what I mean? And I think that's one thing that people need to remember, like, maybe my immediate family or my immediate circle, they don't fully understand me, but somebody outside of my circle does, you know what I mean? Somebody outside in this world understands me in a way that I feel seen and heard. And I think that's where we need to remember where community can really bring us hope. And do you think or did you ever have a moment where you found a community that brought you hope?
I think that where I saw that there was opportunity was very early on when I started to get involved in mentoring. And I started to see that by being hopeful, providing hope to others, to provide, and to be able to provide them with the tools that they needed to help others. I started to see that when I could put some of that into place and get those wheels moving, that there were changes that would take place. There was some good and some maybe not so good where individuals didn't totally comprehend what the path was that we were trying to take. But for the majority of the people, they were embracing what it is we were trying to do because they saw at the end of that rainbow, they saw the opportunity to not only provide hope for themselves, to provide hope for others. And I think, that that's important for us to, keep at the forefront, is that we, whatever we undertake to do, we do so with the element of hope, and
Mm.
hope from a couple different avenues. Number one, definitely from hope for myself and what it means to me, but it means hope for others as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because to just be so focused on yourself truly can remove the hope for humanity, you know what I mean? Because if there's hope for you, that means there's hope for somebody else, you know what I mean? If there's hope for you, then that means there's hope for that person that you don't like in like high school that you didn't like, but maybe there's hope because time changed them, you know what I mean? Like we don't know everyone's path, but we do know that hope can truly change somebody in the smallest of ways. It's a seed, you know what I mean? It just we just gotta plant it, you know, just by a smile, but just by kind words, just by encouraging words, you know what I mean? Can be so impactful in a way that we will never even know. But it's about just taking that initiative, you know what I mean? And asking yourself those hard questions and reflecting like, is this a moment that can truly bring hope to somebody? Or is this a moment that can destroy somebody? Because the same mouth that we can lift people up and bring life is the same mouth that can destroy somebody's life and to bring harm. So we truly have to be conscientious about our words and how we're using them and in our heart and where the what's we're laying inside of it, you know what I mean? Because it comes out one way or another. So if you put your mind in this reframe of hope, it really does changes your perspective going forward and when you wake up and when you go to sleep and even when you have bad days or bad moments, you're able to still find the silver lining of that hope in the moment. So it really does changes so much. And one thing I read was that time cannot change your perspective unless you are willing to change your perspective. And that's the reason why there's people that are in their 50s and 60s still with a frame of mind of their 18-year-old self because they have not allowed themselves to change. They have not allowed themselves to shift and move. So it's like we really have to take that into consideration. So I guess time is catching up to us. So what can be some lasting words that you can leave us off with to keep on thinking?
Think of it from the aspect of that with each element of hope that you put out there, not only for yourself, but for others, that there is an unsurmountable amount of positive, of good that can take place versus if you go the other direction, you're going to drag yourself and others down that slippery slope. It's a tough set of words, but you know you'll drag those with you no matter how hard you try to change the direction, and that you're going to find that if I'm not positive, then and if I'm not bringing hope to the table, then the outcome is not going to be what I had hoped it would be.
Exactly, exactly. We need to keep that into consideration because hope can really be the missing link of our lives. It could be the missing reason why you didn't get that job or the reason why you don't see any job as an opportunity for you or good for you. It's just because you have lost that key, that glow, that joy, that peace is all of that hope. Hope holds so much value into our lives and to have people drag you down or for you to drag other people down, there's no point into it. You know what I mean? I understand misery loves company, but so does peace, so does joy, so does love. We love company here. You know what I mean? We love to embody other people with this peace and this joy and this happiness and just this hope for better, hope for more. You know what I mean? Don't lose that. Oh my goodness, don't lose that. And ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did, because I truly did, go check out Doug. Maybe he's the person that you need to get in contact with to flip the switch, to turn on your hope meter, to make sure that it's available. He has so many years of experience that it will be doing you a disadvantage to not hit him up, right? So go check him out. I have access to his link to his website in the audio in the description. If you're listening in the audio or on YouTube, in the description, you'll find it. Or if you're on my website, already listening and find his photo, click on it, and it goes straight to his website where you can find all this great content, so much great information just so that you can continue on thinking. Because isn't that the point? Yes, it is. It's to keep on thinking. So with that being said, bye.